Hello friends, Marcelo here again, and in this lesson we'll be just enqueuing our JavaScript files. In the previous lesson we added our CSS files and we saw that everything is working. Actually, in fact, in terms of style, we have the colors, we have the fonts here, and everything seems to be beautiful now, but we still don't have those beautiful effects. For example, when we click on this link here, or when we scroll down this page, and we have to add them to our theme. But it's quite easy because in today's lesson we'll be using two functions that are quite similar to this WP enqueue style. We'll be using WP register script and WP enqueue script. Those two functions work quite the same way as this WP enqueue style do. So let's start. All of our JavaScript files are inside this JS folder here. So we'll be including those guys here, all right? But I have to be careful about two things. Let's go to index.php and I'll explain to you guys. So the first thing we have to be aware is that if you look at the list of our JavaScript files, the first file in the list is this jQuery file. So we have to do the same thing while we register our JavaScript files. We have to find a way to WordPress put this jQuery first in the page, all right? The second of the things is that if you notice, these JavaScript files are being added to this page at the end of it. I mean, before the closing tag of this body element. We have to do the same thing in WordPress because otherwise our effects will not work. This is interesting because the original author of this theme, what he did is he wanted this template to be more performatic. So one of the techniques to do it is to simply put all of your JavaScript files at the end of the page, this way here. It's also important because JavaScript it's targeting some elements in the DOM, in the document, in the page. So if those elements are not ready, are not available in the page itself, JavaScript sometimes it doesn't work. And one of the ways for us to make sure that all of the elements are incorporated in the page, loaded in the page first, is to add our JavaScript at the end of the page. So let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna cut this portion of the code here, and once again let's move them to this functions.php and use them as a reference. Okay, the first of the functions we'll be using today is called WP register script. So let's go ahead and I will be explaining to you guys how it works. So let's call it right here, WP register script. If we look at the documentation here, it says that it's a function that registers a new script. So it registers a script to be enqueued later using the WP enqueue script function. So when we tell WordPress that we only want to register a script, we're not adding it directly in the page. We are just telling WordPress that this file is available for use whenever WordPress wants it. So it can be enqueued later in the page or in another file or in another script or in another function, you name it. You're just telling WordPress that it does exist and it can be used whenever WordPress needs it. So let's register our first file, the jQuery file. The first argument here is the handle. So let's use jQuery, but this time to as a handle. And why am I using this to here? It's because WordPress already ships with a version of jQuery natively. If we say only jQuery here, it can be confused with the version already available in the WordPress core. So that's why we're using here jQuery 2, right? Another question, why are we actually adding another jQuery file to our theme? Because WordPress already ships with jQuery. So why are we doing this? It's something related to this particular theme here we are building, all right? Because this particular template uses jQuery version 1.11.3, and WordPress uses natively version 3.6.8, if I'm not mistaken. And if you want to use that newer version, I'm quite sure the effects on our page won't work because we are using a different version of jQuery, a different version from this version with which this template was built. And that's why we need to add this particular jQuery file here and not the one WordPress uses, right? The next argument, let's see, it's the source. So we'll be the same thing we did for this last CSS file here. We'll be just adding the URL as a string, all right? So let's grab it from here and add it like this. One question I'm always asked is, Marcelo, can I just download this jQuery version here, this jQuery file here, and put it into my JS folder, and then use this get template directory URI here to add this file instead of putting the URL like this? Yes, you can do it, and it's actually recommended. So if you want to use the file, you can go ahead and just download it and use it like this, all right? The next argument here, it's called dependency. We'll not be using this right here, and I will be explaining to you guys later about this argument. So for now, let's add an empty array. The next one is the version. Once we have the version here, 1.11.3, we'll be passing it here. And the last one is, it's an argument that tells WordPress if you want the script to be printed in the footer, I mean, at the end of the page, or in the header, at the start of the page, at the beginning of the page. In order for this project to work, we have to add this script to the footer of the page, right? The default value for this argument here is false. So if you want to add this script to the end of the page, you have to pass it as true. So this is the first file. Let's do one more and add the second file now. This time we'll not only register the script, but enqueue it and then put it directly right away in the page. So let's use now another function that is called WP enqueue script. So WP enqueue script. And what this function does is it enqueues a script, so it puts directly right away in the page. The first argument is the handle again. So let's use as handle this bootstrap JS file. So let's call it mini volume bootstrap JS. Let's use a hyphen here. The next argument is the source. So let's use this time this get template directory URI here, because the file is in fact inside our JS folder, inside our themes folder. So let's just copy this and concatenate it with the string, this one here. Don't forget to add the trailing slash. The next argument is the dependency. So what is this dependency? According to the documentation, is an array of registered script handles this script depends on. So whatever file we pass here to this file as a dependency, it will be placed in the page before this actual file here. So if you want, for example, to place this jQuery file before this file here, this bootstrap file, we pass it as a dependency using this handle here, all right? So let's pass it as an array, and inside this array, let's add this handle. If you wanted to pass the jQuery version WordPress ships with, we can only pass it as jQuery, all right? But that's not our case now. The next one is the version. So let's add just no here, because we don't have the version. And the last one is the one that tells WordPress if the script is added to the footer of the page or the header. So let's set it as true. And let's see what we have for now. Let's just remove this for a while, save this, and let's see what's happening in the page. Let's just reload this page using Ctrl+Shift+R first. And then let's look at the page source and scroll down this page a little. And at the end of the page, we see first the jQuery file and then the bootstrap file. Remember, we just registered this jQuery file. We didn't enqueue it. So the reason why this file is being added here at this point is because it's being passed as a dependency of this second file here. So once it's passed as a dependency, WordPress went ahead and just added here first before this one here. Alright guys, so let's add the rest of the files and let's see if our effects start working. Let's just use Ctrl+Z here to undo, and we now have the reference back again. Let's duplicate this line here, and let's add the next resource. Is this jQuery fancy box JS file. So let's grab this this path here and put it here. And let's also rename this handle to fancy box. And I'll just speed up this video because I think you guys have already understood how this process works, okay? Alright then guys, all finished. Let's just remove this one here because we don't need these lines anymore. Save this. And one more detail is that actually we don't need to pass jQuery 2 as dependency to all of these files here. And why? Because we already made sure that this jQuery file is added first in the list. So in this particular case here, we can just remove this jQuery 2 from those other arguments. So let's do this. Save this. And let's see if all is working. Let's go to our front end, refresh this using Ctrl+Shift+R. And now let's scroll down this page. And now the effect is taking place. Great. And if you also click here, you can see that the page is going to the point smoothly. We can also see that we have these effects here taking place, but we don't have yet the images. It's something that we need to fix yet in the theme, but it seems that all is working. We have the effects and we also have the styles applied to this theme. Alright guys, I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson and I see you in the next one because we have a lot yet to add to this theme. If you have questions, if you have doubts about today's subject, do send me a question and I will do my best to answer them. So that's it. Bye.